Alright, so after priming all the parts up, one of the nice things about priming does it shows you areas where you may have missed filling or other imperfections. Now I've gone ahead and marked using a pen to show the areas that still need some touch-up filling, and you don't need to do this step, but in general it's a good idea. Additionally, when after priming, I noticed I had missed a mold line on these little knees. So anyway, I guess the first step is filling. Now for this, I'm going to be using Squadron's green putty. This is the putty I like the most, as it's really easy to use and sands very nicely. So basically all you gotta do is just get a little, and now ideally you'd want to use a putty knife, but I don't own one, so, and just try to get as much into it as you can, and try to be careful, because this stuff can go everywhere if you're not. But yeah, just alright, and just basically cover up all the little spots you need to fill in. Now you can also thin this stuff with the acetone, but for plastic I recommend against it, as I have noticed the times that I have done that, it started to eat into the plastic. And sorry about that, my cat is decided she wants attention. It's an inopportune time. Now, like always when filling, you want to be careful of any detail areas, as by its nature filler will want to get rid of those. And also be aware this stuff does dry kind of fast, so you do need to kind of work a little quickly, as it will start hardening up as soon as it hits the air. Okay. But at the same time, because it dries quickly, you can basically let these sit for about half an hour or so. Let them dry up, and then you'll be ready to go to the sand. Alright, and so now that I got those done, come back in about half an hour and sand this down. Alright, so now the parts have had a chance to dry, and so first step I found with the green stuff, Squadron putty, is you can basically scrub off some of the excess just using your fingers, and this is a lot more effective than sandpaper at just getting some of the excess off. You don't have to sand quite so much. Right. Then once you've done that, you just sand it much similar fashion as you have before. At this point, don't worry too much about setting off your primer, as soon as you've done these parts, reprime anyway. And as I said before, the stuff sands really easily, so this is one of the reasons why I like it. Okay. As you can see, all the little spots that needed filling have been filled. I'm just gonna do it quickly. Again, I'm using a sanding sponge, as it allows me to get a lot of the contours of these rounded parts a lot easier. Now, hopefully, there won't be any further surprises in the build of this kit. Alright. Now, let's see. Again, you want to try and be careful with detail parts such as this one. Now, another thing is you can, at this point, after you get them all finished sanded, you can potentially give them another bath if you want to, or at the very least, just quick rinse off just to get some of the excess dust and such off. But you don't technically have to, but it is recommendable, just because the amount of dust you're going to be kicking up from all this. Let's see how I'm doing on time. 20. Okay. Again, as I said, don't worry about the primer, as you can always reprime. In fact, that's what I will do once I get these two guys finished. Now, another thing you can potentially do if you are worried about dust or have allergies or what have you, is you can wet sand, as that will help control the dust level. Okay. Alright, I'm just gonna get the mold line I missed earlier. Again, that's one of the reasons why you should prime, is because it allows you to see any type of mold lines and such that you may miss otherwise. Now, if you just, as I said before, if you're just going to slap one of these kits together just to have something to look at, yeah, but if you're more serious, want to really just make a really good looking kit, then steps like this are essential. Okay, just about got that. Alright, and just about out of time. So yeah, after I finish getting these finished up, I will reprime, and then probably in the next video we'll talk about base coating. Alright, till then.